Hello and welcome back to the first higher or lower of 2024. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that stuff. I think it's a bit too late for it, but here we are. This is the show where we preview the weekend's football using the spread betting markets with Spreadex and Sporting Index, brought to you by oddschecker. I'm your host, George Elek. I'm delighted to be joined by Dan Worth, back from the beaches of Australia. You look tan?
Thanks, mate.
Relax.
Is that a compliment?
Jack looks more tan, I'd say.
Yeah,
Jack
fair
Wright,
enough.
Good to have you here as well. Good Christmas?
Very good Christmas, yeah.
Watched some football?
Watched a little bit of football nearly every day, yes.
Wow. Did you manage to catch any football?
Caught some Aussie football, as in Aussie soccer.
Right.
Which, I'm very happy to be back on this kind because that was pretty poor. But Reading had a decent run whilst I was away.
Yeah.
Come home to them losing 2.
Dropped points at home to Oxford. Out of form Oxford was a bad result, wasn't it?
Oh, I didn't even know that game happened. But yeah, come back and we lose to an under-21 Brighton side. So back to normal.
Who cares about the EFL trophy?
It's probably my only chance of a Wembley trip this season. So
B-team boycott. When Oxford got to the final the EFL trophy at Wembley, I didn't go.
Wow, fair enough.
Yeah,
it's because you're blessed with Wembley trips as an Oxford fan. So
in fairness, that was the third. So yeah, it's true.
There we go.
Right, enough of this squabbling. Let's get into these markets now. As I say, these are all with Spreadex or Sporting Index. You can find all of their spread prices up on site. We've got a new customer offer as well. Bet 25, get 50. You can find the link for new customers only in the description to this video. And if you sign up to a new account, if you bet £25, you get £50 worth of free bets. T's and C's do apply, so you can find it there. We're going to start with Friday night football. It is a game that is between two sides who came up from the Championship last season in Burnley and Luton. Burnley, by far the better side last season. Well, I say by far. I mean, they won the league, Luton through the playoffs. But this season, Luton are the ones making the best fist of staying up. But having said that, with this game at Turf Moor, Burnley are the favourites. The midpoint for this is 0.55. So that means that if you think that Burnley are going to win this game, then you would go over, and that would make up 1 if they win by a solitary goal, and you'd go lower if you think Luton are the ones who will get something out of this. So first up, Burnley-Luton. Burnley over at 0.55 in the supremacy market. We're going higher or lower. 3, 2, 1.
Oh no, I'm on my own.
That's good, isn't it?
Start the year.
Diversifying.
Well,
I mean, I should say you are now leading.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I didn't want to say it.
Gloss sober.
60. You're 60%. I'm 57. Dan's 54. Obviously boosted by Sam's performances.
I don't know about that.
Jack, you think Burnley are going to win this one? What's the reasoning behind that?
I do. I was going to say it's tough to back a side that have won 1 and lost 9 of their 10 games at home, but here I am supporting Burnley in this one. Massive game for them, and I think when you look at the fixtures coming up, it makes it even bigger for them to get a win out of this. They've got Manchester City away next, and then Fulham at home, Liverpool away, Arsenal at home. So very, very tough fixtures coming up. And I just think we've seen a little bit of improvement from them as the season's gone on. They've started to possibly tweak things a little bit. They still make mistakes, but not as many as they have been. And I just feel that when you look at the wins that they've got, they won 3 games this season. They beat Luton already at Kenilworth Road, which was a big result and a good result for them. They also beat Fulham, and then their only home win so far was against Sheffield United, which they trounced 5-0. And I just feel that when they're up against seasoned Premier League campaigners, they're falling short because they're trying to effectively play their own game. But against sides that are possibly more championship orientated, as you said, they were exceptional last season, and yes, they've got a different squad because of how it was set up. I just feel that they're going to have a good chance against Luton. Complete clash of styles, and I think that Burnley will come out on top of this one. So they drew 1-1 last season, but that was very early in the campaign and the second game of the season, but did win at Kenilworth Road, so last season and also this season. I just think Luton will obviously give up lots of possession. They also give up plenty of shots. So you can see the highest amount of shots in the league so far this season, averaging 20 shots conceded per away game. So I feel that Burnley will get the chances in this one and do enough to edge a close one.
Dan?
Yeah, so the guys we asked on X all agree with you. Not one person has sided with Luton.
What?
In the poll. Yeah, not one person.
How many people voted?
I'll have to come back to you on that. Thousands, I would have thought.
Thousands, yeah.
Wow. But obviously, I'm disagreeing with you. Luton can jump out of the relegation zone with a win here, so if that's not an incentive, I don't know what is. That said, it could be an incentive for Burnley too, because if Luton do win, I think they go 7 points clear of Burnley, so that's quite damning. But yeah, Burnley have only won once at home this season, which was a 5-0 win over Sheffield United, but they've lost 4 of their last 5 matches. I don't know, I feel like Luton, they don't have more to play for, of course, but I think like just knowing that Everton are that close is the incentive that they need. The last 3 between these two sides at Turf Moor had ended in a draw. So obviously I'm getting that on side too. So starting the year off.
Before last year, when was the one before that?
You tell me.
I know, it's your stat.
Yeah, no, I don't know it. Okay. A long time ago, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
it was a long time ago, yeah.
I think a key thing here is like the narrative around Luton being a much better team at home, and that is definitely true. But if you look at their games against lower half opposition so far this season, they've won 2 of them away from home. They beat Everton 2-1 back in September, and they beat Sheffield United obviously last time out on the road on Boxing Day 3-2, and they drew with Forest 2-2. So of the 5 games they played against lower bottom half opposition, they've only lost 2, and that was against Fulham and Brentford, 2 teams who are very good at home this season. So I also think the win against Sheffield United and the manner of it in that 3-2 win will give them some belief that they can replicate their Kenilworth Road form at home when they go on the road too. So, I was so impressed with Burnley last season, but it feels like there's just a real, an obvious drop-off in terms of where they are right now, and a bit of a lack of belief, which is kind of that intangible. Whereas with Luton, I think they're flying at the moment, and I think things could have gone 2 ways with the loss of Tom Lockyer and those tragic circumstances. A massive player for them, their captain and an important centre-back. But rather than really weaken them and shake them, it seems to have galvanised them in a way that it's been really impressive, to be honest, because it can't have been easy after what he's been through. So I'm very keen to side with Luton here.
We've said at the start of the season we desperately wanted Luton to prove people wrong, and I still do, and I'm delighted how they've gone this season. So if I am going to lose one this week, I'm happy to lose this one.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, that makes sense. Right, into the Championship now. And I think this is going to be a cracking game for the neutral. Coventry hosting Leicester. Coventry top of the form table in the Championship. Leicester top of the actual table by miles in the Championship. But it does feel to me like if Leicester are to drop points and invite the others back into it, this is a game that's going to be, I think it's one of the toughest games they could possibly have at this moment in time. We're looking at the total goals market here. It's 2.6 to sell, 2.8 to buy is the spread. So 2.7 the midpoint for total goals. And Coventry, Leicester, we're going higher or lower, 3, 2, 1. I mean, this
Goals
seems
galore.
Crazy, Jack, doesn't it?
Crazy.
I'm amazed that the line isn't above 3 midpoint, and if it was, I'd still be buying.
Would you?
Wow.
Yeah. No, I was stunned myself. Yeah, seeing this here, thinking
Flabbergasted.
Yeah, flabbergasted. My gasp was flabbered.
Yes.
And
Often is.
yeah, indeed so. Obviously, this landed on match day 1, way back at the start of the season. 2-1 to Leicester, 2 late goals, both from Dewsbury Hall, I believe, on that occasion. And it didn't look like they were going to be runaway leaders for much of that game, but obviously they are now. 10 points clear at the top of the table. Been superb, of course, goes without saying, really, all season. Plenty of goals in recent Coventry games, though, I'd say, and like that hangover, the traditional stereotype, I suppose, cliche of the playoff hangover certainly kind of kicked in for Coventry. But now, as you say, top of the form table and absolutely flying. So you're right, with an absolute cracker, and I'm glad this is our first Championship focus game of the week rather than the one that's on Friday night. So this does look to be an absolute superb one. Coventry have scored in each of their last 11. 1 defeat in their last 11 as well at home. So only 1 defeat in 17 at home. So absolutely superb form. And so the home form is going to be a proper test for Leicester here. Leicester have been relentless all season. 10 wins from their 13. Away, they've scored 2+ in 9 of those as well. So goals galore from them. And you look where they're scoring their goals from. They've even not got Vardy, Iheanacho and Patson Daka as far as top goal scorers are concerned. So 1 clean sheet, 11 for them. So they have started to concede a few goals as well, and they've conceded 36 in total. Their games have 3.27 average. So it all points towards proper goals here. This higher line has landed in 7 of those 10. Lots of firepower on display from both sides. So the Coventry players are now starting to find their form as well. Haji Wright, Sakamoto as well, and Godden have all got potential to score plenty of goals. And so I think you're right, it's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, I mean, you rattle off the players there, and I agree. I mean, Haji Wright is the one where the goals are going to come soon because I think he's got the highest XG in the whole league. He missed a fair few chances early on, but he's a quality player and someone who fits into this side really well. Ellis Sims is another one who's playing well at the moment. But the key to me has been Callum O'Hare's return, who is, he's a Premier League player basically. He plays as a 10 for them. He's back from serious injury. His contract's out in the summer. I'm sure he'll get a Premier League move, if not with Coventry, if they go up through the playoffs this season. And his arrival in the team has coincided with a massive shift in fortunes, both for Jack Wright, for Sakamoto, who, as you say, has been the key man over the last couple of weeks in terms of goal involvements. And their games are very end-to-end. I had the displeasure of watching them on Saturday, beat Oxford 6-2. They were breathtakingly good in that game. Every time they went forward, they looked like they were going to score. Casey Palmer, another one who's come into a bit of form as well. And at the beginning of the season, Mark Robins, after playing a really good counter-attacking style with Gustavo Harmer and Victor Gyökeres as the main man in midfield and up front, those two players left for 35 million euros. It's a lot of money it's a lot of talent to lose for a championship club. Yeah. He seemed to want to change the way they played, and they went to a kind of heavy possession-based system that didn't really work. And as soon as he went back to the kind of drop in and then press hard and try and win the ball high up the pitch, it's worked really well again. And I think now we're seeing a Coventry side that I think can cause Leicester some serious issues here. And we know, unlike other teams who play Leicester, where they might think if we can just take this game down to a one-goal game, a two-goal game, we've got a better chance of getting something out of it. I think Robins will say we're going to take the game to them and try and make them pay for it. So, yeah, I'm keen on overs here, and I'm keen on Coventry, to be fair.
Nice, pretty tough to follow both of you there. I think you've covered everything off. The only other thing is I guess we kind of focus more on how Coventry are looking in front of goal. Leicester have scored at least.
Leicester are quite good, aren't they?
They're not bad. Even without, as you mentioned, like Vardy and Daka and Iheanacho, they still have the firepower. Dewsbury Hall scored 2 when they last met.
Isn't Ndidi gone to AFCON?
I'm not sure. I think he's injured. I think he's pulled out through injury.
Okay.
But yeah, Leicester have scored
Correct.
2.
He's out with injury. He's out of everything. He's still out though.
Oh yeah, that's true. But yeah, Leicester have scored 2 in 7 of their last 8 games. So if we're all saying that Coventry are probably going to get on the score sheet, maybe even twice, Leicester have a record of scoring 2. This should hopefully cop quite nicely and a nice bit of profit for both of us.
Yeah, this is the one I say, when I saw that line, I thought that can't be right, surely, and this is my strongest pick of the week.
Yeah, I agree. Leicester's defensive capabilities early in the season very good. Their game's been way more open in recent weeks as well. So, yeah, a good one there. Chelsea, Fulham, West London clash, this one. Fulham obviously losing in valiant style on Wednesday night against Liverpool, losing 2-1 in the Carabao Cup first leg semi-final. Chelsea having had midweek off. Chelsea having had Tuesday night.
They did have a bit of an off day.
A bit of an off day.
Chelsea losing 1-0 at Borough and playing very poorly. So two sides licking their wounds after that. Chelsea with an extra day's rest. But Chelsea are favourites for this one. 0.95 is the midpoint. So if you're going higher, it's basically just a Chelsea win. If you're going lower, it's Fulham or draw. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, made easy this one by the 0.95. It's the same game as 0.05. But Dan, tell us why you think Chelsea are a good bet to win this one.
Well, so I will admit I had lower here because this market the midpoint was 1 until very recently, and now it's 0.95.
Yeah.
I mean, my main point here is Chelsea haven't lost to Fulham at home since 1979.
Wow.
What? That's mad.
Which, it kind of does it all to me. But the rationale I've got written down is I'm not sure if Chelsea will win by more than 1, but now that it's 0.95, they don't have to.
That's right.
So, yeah, Fulham have only won once in the league away from home, and that was against Everton. So, yeah, I think just Chelsea needing to win here is enough for me to go higher.
Yeah, Jack?
Yeah, so that's like nearly before all of us were born, nearly. Yeah, well, Chelsea were very Chelsea during the week, created bucket loads of chances, and you'd kind of want them to fall to Cole Palmer, and he just had one of those nights, didn't he? So, it was really unusually wasteful from him. It's interesting that the games are coming thick and fast during this break, the winter break. At the moment, obviously FA Cup and EFL Cup this week as well. So I just feel that, as I say, that line shifts slightly in favour. I was in exactly the same boat. I think this will be a narrow win for Chelsea, and therefore any kind of Chelsea win works for me. It's a good record against Fulham. Fulham have certainly picked up over the last few weeks. Obviously beat Arsenal recently. Ran Liverpool close away from home, which is no easy task. Jimenez, I think, coming into form has certainly sort of improved them. But with Chelsea, I think they'll create chances against Fulham. they've conceded 35 goals. Only the bottom three have conceded more than Fulham. So I think it's just a case of Chelsea taking those chances. They'll certainly create them. And I just think that I don't think Cole Palmer, who was more likely to be either as a central striker, false nine, or amongst that kind of front forward area, I think give him the chances again. I don't think he'll miss them like he did during the week. So interesting that also Fulham have considered the joint highest amount of penalties this season as well. So Cole Palmer's on those. I'm sure he'll be keen to take that. And as simple as that. I just feel that Chelsea will have enough to edge a win this one.
Yeah, since Chelsea lost 2-0 to Brentford, their home form's been pretty good. They had the 4-4 draw against City where they played well. They beat Brighton, beat Sheffield United, and beat Crystal Palace. They haven't been beaten since at home since the end of October. And Fulham's away form, their home form very good, but their away form poor. Like they conceded 4 against Liverpool, 3 against Villa, 5 against Man City, all in defeat. So against kind of the better teams away from home, they've struggled. Only Everton, the only team they've beaten away from home this season. That was back in August. So in terms of a home game, away game split, even though these two sides have been very different fortunes, generally, I do think Chelsea have been the better side. And Chelsea's issues this season seem to have been when they've tried to play Gallagher, Caicedo and Enzo, which they tried again in midweek, and it didn't go to plan again. I think we'll probably see Enzo come out again, and we'll see them play the way they have done prior to that, where they've been a bit better with Palmer at 10. So yeah, Chelsea to win this one. Again, the 0.95 makes this fairly easy.
They were much the better side in the reverse as well, which was 2-0, wasn't it? And I think, a repeat of that wouldn't be a massive surprise.
Yeah. Okay, Newcastle now hosting Manchester City next up. And a game between a City side looking to continue a better run of form and push back up towards the top of the table, and a Newcastle side just so out of form. But at St James's Park, not too bad. They're just 1 point ahead of Chelsea now in the league. Newcastle are. We're going to look at first match goal here. So this is the time in which the first goal of the game is scored with Sporting Index. It's 31 to sell, 34 to buy. So 32.5 is the midpoint. Are we going higher or lower? Higher means a later goal, lower means an earlier goal. 3, 2, 1. Wow. So, firstly, we've got Dubravka rather than Pope, which we know is a bit of a downgrade. Secondly, we've got a Newcastle side who in their last 2 league games conceded nearly 7 expected goals against Liverpool. Was it the highest ever in a Premier League game? And in the game before that, conceded 3.5 expected goals against Nottingham Forest. And then if you go back another few weeks, they conceded one of the highest ever Champions League expected goals against PSG. Like Newcastle's success over the last 18 months has been built on very, very good defensive numbers and strong defensive unit. For many reasons, fatigue, injuries, personnel, whatever else, that has gone. Like this poor run of form they're in isn't variance. It isn't just like, they're getting unlucky here and the team against them is scoring some goals. They are conceding loads of chances in every game, and they're playing against, in my mind, the best attacking team in the league, with Kevin De Bruyne back and possibly starting, with Phil Foden in great form. We don't know whether or not Haaland will be fit for this one, but I don't think it really matters necessarily.
He's back in training, isn't he?
Yeah. I think this, whether or not they score after half an hour or not, we don't know. But I'd be amazed if in the first 30 minutes of this game, Man City don't create a load of opportunities, and that's why I think it's a lower. I'm surprised that you guys are on the other side. Dan, tell me why you are.
I'm just going on averages. So that line is basically bang on the average time of City's first goal this season.
That's how they do it.
But away from home, that jumps up to the 42nd minute, which is what I've kind of clung on to there. I don't know how much it depends on whether Haaland plays or not, but I think already he's about 25% likely, which kind of goes against my thing here because he's going to score chances if he gets them. Newcastle's form has taken a bit of a wobble, but yeah, you mentioned it. Like this season and the back end of last season, their defence was very strong. And I don't know if this is just the jet lag creeping in, but I kind of feel like this might be a low-scoring game.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I just feel that Eddie Howe usually tries to set his sides up quite tight against the bigger clubs. These two have.
How did that go against Liverpool?
Well, at home, yeah. Well, it was 0-0 at half time, wasn't it?
That's true.
Yeah, I know they've conceded chances, but it was 0-0 at half time, and there was like 5 goals in the second half, so they kind of went a bit mad. But these two sides obviously met twice already this season. Both games ended 1-0 there. When they met here in the League Cup, it was 53rd minute, the opening goal. It was the 31st minute at the Etihad, but that's quite late as far as Etihad time's concerned, isn't it? And I'd probably gone differently if it was Manchester City at home. they've lost 5 of the last 6 in the league as well, so I think they might even be a bit more pragmatic, and especially you show a lot of respect because it is Manchester City. Yeah. They were good against Sunderland, but obviously that's a completely different kettle of fish last week. Prior to that, as you say, they've been pretty poor. So my gut instinct on this game is that it's going to be a grind for City. They'll dominate and they'll kind of work and finally get that goal and that breakthrough, which might come into the early part of the second half or possibly late in the first half. But City have only won 3 of their last 7 away as well, so they're not exactly flying away from home. Although their form has crept up in recent weeks, and I say obviously De Bruyne back, Haaland in the starting lineup possibly changes things a bit, but I'm still happy. My general rule of thumb when I'm playing this market is that to go for the later goal rather than the earlier goal, and I'll go with this one here based on what I've been saying as well. City have won their last 11 opening games of the calendar year, by the way. So
irrelevant.
It is.
Irrelevant.
Oh, I have to do one irrelevant stat a week.
Yeah. Headed goal minutes now. So this is the cumulative time that headers are scored in the game. So you're looking here for set pieces or, just any, well, it doesn't have to be a set piece. Any goal off the bounce is what you're after here. And the line here with Sporting Index is 27.5 as the midpoint. So 26 to sell, 29 to buy. We're going higher or lower. 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
I thought
doesn't scream headers this, does it?
Does it?
No.
No.
I mean, Haaland playing would maybe change that. But
Possibly, yeah. He's their most prolific headed goal scorer this season.
Have you got some good headed stats for us?
Well, I won't say they're good, but I've got the stats.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. 6 headed goals for Manchester City this season. I thought Dan had picked this, obviously, as the fantastic WhoScored.com, the king of WhoScored.com. Going, I can go through my WhoScored archives.
Do you want to give us the header stats?
No, I think Jack might be better placed.
Well, 6 Manchester City headed goals so far this season. 3 for Haaland, 1 for Ake, 1 for Akanji. Akanji, I think, is going to be out for this one. Haaland's probably very doubtful.
Yeah.
Newcastle have got 5, 2 for Botman, 1 for Wilson, 1 for Byrne, surprisingly, and 1 for Lascelles. Yeah, Lascelles, yeah. And I said they have met so far this season. I've gone back to this season's games and last season's games. No headed goals in any of those. Isak scored with his left foot in the League Cup. Alvarez scored with his right foot in that Premier League win. Last season, 2-0 for City. Foden right foot, Bernardo Silva left foot. And the 3-3 draw, I thought, there must be a headed goal in here. Trippier right foot, Wilson right foot, and Almiron right foot for Newcastle. Bernardo again, Silva left foot, Gundogan right foot, and Haaland left foot. You have to go back a couple of seasons ago. It was Raheem Sterling with a header. In fact, there was 2 headed goals in that one. Raheem Sterling and Rodri.
When were they, though?
It was the early, I think it was 16 for Sterling.
Loser.
Yeah, but 80
we
for
don't want that.
Rodri. So that's why I didn't include that in the stats, but as you asked.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, he's hit all the stats. But I basically have done this again because I said I think it's a low-scoring game. So I can't then say, I think there'll be loads of headed goals. I mean, I guess...
the class, if you did, you're like, I think there's going to be 1 goal in the 90th minute, there's going to be a header.
Yeah.
And then you're like a genius.
Don't jinx it.
You can't see City scoring a header, like, not generally that kind of side, are they?
Like, headers are normally set pieces, which obviously are going to happen here, and that's a possibility. Or generally teams who are playing against a low block, where like you have to shift the ball wide and you put crosses into the box, which often Newcastle will do a Trippier there.
Yeah.
But in this game, you feel like it's not City's game plan generally, and if Haaland isn't playing, it won't be their game plan at all. You're not going to get De Bruyne on the right-hand side just flinging balls into Foden and Alvarez in the middle. And then you think that Newcastle's best means of attack are going to be counter-attacks, where they're going to try and break City's high line, which they often do. So in that sense, it just, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I fancy there to be a goal from a set piece here, so therefore I'm going to go high.
Yeah, I looked at, I think the Man City only conceded a couple of goals from set pieces this season, so that was the kind of the final deciding factor in that they're not exactly weak in that area. So yeah, exactly how you expect those goals to go.
Anything to add, Dan?
No.
You're happy?
Yeah,
fine.
Thanks for bringing that market to our attention.
It's first time for everything. 2 more games left to cover in the Premier League. Everton Villa is the next one. We've got total goal market here, and the midpoint is 2.95. So again, quite similar to earlier, where under you're getting 0, 1, and 2. It's just under the 3. 3 would be on your side if you go higher.
In at 3.05.
Yeah. Thank you. Everton Villa now in the Premier League, where we've got 3.05 is the midpoint. So similar to earlier, if you're going under, either it's just over 3, you get, for lower, you get 3, 2, 1 and 0. Higher, you get 4 and above, which makes quite a big difference to being 2.95, because 3 feels like a big run. Everton, Villa here, we're going higher or lower than 3.05 as Sporting Index, 3, 2, 1.
Damn.
I know.
What are you doing? Nah, I can't say that. I mean, Unai Emery, goals.
Yeah. Let's
Sean
hope
Dyche
so.
in Everton, goals.
Yeah. The 0.05 is, it's almost quite annoying, to be perfectly honest.
So I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, you two both love it, I'm sure. But yeah, there's been at least 3 goals in all of Everton's last 3 league games, which is why it's so annoying, because obviously I need 4 here. But both teams are scoring all of Villa's last 4 games in the league. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
I'm crumbling here. But
Don't panic.
first week back.
Have you watched this series of The Traitors yet?
Yeah.
That reminded me a bit of
Yeah.
that episode
don't
3.
tell me. La 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 la.
Oh no, there's no spoilers.
I won't give you spoilers. It's just one guy at one
Completely
point
loses it.
completely loses his mind. It was a bit like that.
But that was great viewing. So hopefully my crumble here is great viewing for these
Yes,
guys.
true.
Well.
You're just the man for the content, aren't you?
Yeah.
Fine.
That's exactly why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
But as always, I just want to cheer goals. Like I genuinely think there's probably 3 goals in this game. It will be 2-1 to Villa.
So then you should
There's
go
my
lower.
neck on the line. I should, but I don't want to be cheering under goals. First week back from holiday.
So this is your thinking here is I'm going to buy goals because I want to watch the game and enjoy goals.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible. That is one of the most incredible things I've ever had in my life. Right, Jack.
Where's Dan's percentages again now?
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Yeah, I feel Villa have been grinding out results a bit more recently rather than at the start of the season. They were certainly blowing sides away. We also know that they've been a little bit wobbly away from home throughout the course of the campaign. Obviously, an incredible home record. And Everton have actually had a pretty shoddy home record this season. You expect Goodison to be a little bit of a fortress for them where they pick up their points, but it's not really been the case. And I watched both these sides in this last week, albeit in cup action. Villa against Borough did well, did enough, except that needed a deflected goal in that one. And it was very interesting to hear Matty Cash, actually. It was the main point of that, is listening to him after and how full of praise for Unai Emery was and the attention to detail that he goes into. And I think that fact that they have been conceding goals and they have been a bit open in those recent away games, obviously 2-0 up against Manchester United and throwing that away, he will be absolutely all over that to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen again. So I did see him being more tight, more defensive, and I just feel that against Everton they had that opportunity. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's red card for your bet has probably been overturned is a benefit. But I watched them against Crystal Palace and it was very 0-0. And I just feel that with Sean Dyche, their record at home this season has been poor, as we said. And I think that he's going to want to try and grind out a result against one of the best sides in the league, second in the table. So for me, take the lower because I think it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think certainly Villa, both teams who are just begging for a bit of a break at some point. Like Villa playing in the Conference League hasn't helped their rest period. They're obviously up in second at the moment, but I think they need that break. And Everton this season at Goodison, they haven't had great results, but only one game at Goodison has gone over 3.5 goals this season. That was just after Christmas when they were beaten 3-1 by City, so it only hit 4 goals. So not loads of goals at home for Everton. I mean, Villa, we know goals follow them around, but they've had a few low-scoring games against teams at the bottom end of the table away from home as well. So if it was 2.95, then it would be a more difficult one.
It was, yeah.
But at 3.05, I'm very happy to get 3. In the satchel.
Everton's expected goals conceded at home is the 8th best in the league as well. So I just feel that they will be able to be a bit tighter against Villa. So
finally, Manchester United host Tottenham in one of the games of the weekend. Going to look at the supremacy market here to start with. United favourites, which might come as a bit of a surprise. United favourites here, 0.35 goal favourites there on the supremacy. That's the midpoint, 0.25 to sell, 0.45 to buy the Sporting Index. Here we go. So are we siding with United and going higher, or are we siding with Spurs and going on the draw and going lower? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Jack.
How can you side with Man United at the moment? That's the question.
Just coming off a brilliant win.
A brilliant win. It was.
Yeah,
it was a huge win against
Wigan.
What's wrong with Wigan?
Nothing's wrong with Wigan.
Won the FA Cup.
They did. And currently languishing just above Reading. Are they just above Reading?
They had big points deduction.
Yeah.
So did Reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
on.
That's what the
Trying to
done
make
thing in
enemies
League
here.
One. Yeah. I make enough enemies. I don't need to make any more in this game. So, but yeah, Wigan created chances in that game. They should have scored. Man United created plenty, to be fair. But again, you just look at them and you think, for me, I'm just trying to wonder who's going to score goals in this. That Man United performance, they needed a slightly contentious penalty to kind of make it safe, and a decent strike from Dalot. The guys that were expected to score goals were just missing the chances, and that's been a bit of a story of their season so far. They've still got Scott McTominay as their top goal scorer in the league, and I just feel that it's just I can't back United needing them to win when I can have Spurs and the draw on side in this one. You look at United; they had a fantastic comeback win against Villa from 2 down, depths of despair. Fantastic second half to win that, and then since then they went to Forest and were awful, and then sort of struggled their way past the League One side in the FA Cup. So Spurs picked up that form, won 5 of the last 6, and I just feel that they've got the abilities to create problems against this Man United side. Perfectly suited here, even missing the likes of Son and some key players out. But I just like what I see from Spurs, and I just think they've got the energy and the drive, which is something that United haven't got.
Yeah, fair enough. Dan?
Yeah, I just think Man United are all over the shop at the moment. I was surprised that they're favourites, but obviously they're at home, so that probably that weights them.
They've been poor at home.
Slightly
Guarantee Spurs would be favourites if it was at Spurs. But but often that's an angle. Do you think that home advantage for United in this game has a whatever it'll be, like a 0.75 a goal shift?
No.
Last season they were like absolutely brilliant at home. Weren't they? That run of unbeaten results at Old Trafford was incredible. This season, they lost 5 at home already?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you referenced the Wigan game. Like, Rashford's looking a bit all over the place. Højlund
scored.
Didn't, not against Wigan.
You did score the first?
No, it's Dalot.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
As assists.
Yeah. It's just like...
Tore them apart.
Yeah, he did.
He had 8 shots.
He did have 8 shots. Yeah, but United had 33 shots. And won 2-0, with one of them being that contentious penalty that you're on about. Højlund is still struggling, to put it quite nicely. Doesn't take much to rile up Fernandes, which I'm sure Spurs will be straight on. You mentioned McTominay is United's top scorer. That's not sustainable. Garnacho is probably looking their biggest threat, but he's still young. I think it's a lot of weight to put on his shoulders. I just think they're going to struggle in front of goal again. And Spurs just look so much more stable. Getting the draw on side is massive too.
Yeah.
I think, this is quite an easy one for me.
I just think Spurs are a better side. And as we say, home advantage, I don't think plays too much into this. So I'm pretty happy to keep it simple and take the Spurs and the draw double chance rather than United to win. Surprised that United are fabs for that one. Okay, finally here, the last market we're going to cover. Same game, it's total goal minutes. The midpoint here with Sporting Index is 174, so 166 lower, 181 higher. High line, but a lot of goals follow these teams around, especially Tottenham Hotspur. We're going higher or lower here from 174. This is the cumulative amount of minutes goals are scored in. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, look at that.
I'm surprised.
You thought I was going to go for
the
it.
goals
What are you doing?
Well, I just said that.
Do you want to cheer goals?
Yeah, I do.
But
I've literally just spent the last 2 minutes talking about how United are struggling in front of goal.
I wasn't listening.
And we talked about United's home advantage, which, as much as I don't think it's that significant, defensively it will have an impact, I think. It just is so high.
Yeah.
It's so high. But again, if you look at United's games against similar opposition, so I've looked at Villa, Chelsea and Man City, comparing them to Spurs obviously. Higher against Villa, but that was 3-2, so that's kind of expected. Lower against Chelsea and lower against Man City, even though City won 3-0. I'm expecting it to be more the Chelsea, City and lower.
All right.
Yeah?
I mentioned it earlier, and I just wonder who's going to score the goals. Obviously, there's no Son, McTominay, top goal scorer, but he's only scored in 3 games this season because he's got a brace in 2 of them. And he scored twice in October and once in December. So I'd say it's, again, Højlund got his first go against Villa, but then reverted back to what we've seen recently during the week. And it's an exceptionally high line. It's an exceptionally high line, and a couple of those high that we've had this season have basically been the fact that there's been 2 late goals in added on time, which, it can happen. But I said, to be 174 is just incredibly high, and I'm prepared to go lower. Looking across, I won't go into all of the numbers, but the average for United at home this season is 142.7. The average for Spurs away is 189.2, but so that is spiked by the fact there's been a couple of exceptionally high ones. One, they beat Burnley 5-2 away from home.
The Brighton game the other day where they scored twice late.
Yeah, there was a couple of goals in added on time, so you automatically get 180 minutes there. But the combined 9 of 20 have been lower between these two sides, their respective home and away. Absolutely. So 9 out of 20 have been higher, so therefore I'm prepared to go with the averages.
I can definitely see a scenario here where Spurs come out of the traps early, score early, and then it descends into chaos. But on the balance of probability, I just feel like Spurs might see this out fairly easily, despite we keep talking about Tottenham's, the defensive crisis. Now they need to get players in and the rest of it. But if you take out the Brighton game, their defensive record is still pretty good. It's not like Postecoglou sets them up in this gung-ho style where they invite pressure on and they concede loads of goals. And that doesn't really happen. It kind of works from a defensive standpoint. So the only thing I would say is we've seen United, especially in the Champions League this season, have crazy games. The Galatasaray games in particular, they and the Bayern games, they were mad. And maybe, given the way Tottenham set up, it could go that way. But on the reasons you guys mentioned on the balance of it, I think I'm happy to go lower here. But I wouldn't be overly confident given the way it could go. So there you have it. That is this week's higher or lower. Thank you very much to the guys for sharing their tips, thoughts, and insight. Great to have Dan back rather than Sam, although hopefully Sam will come back soonish with because he's awaiting his first child.
He is, yeah.
So thoughts with Sam. Hope everything's going okay with him. Make sure you check out Spreadex and Sporting Index for all of your spread betting needs ahead of this weekend's football. You can find a new customer offer, as I said, in the description below. Bet 25, get 50, T's and C's do apply. You can find all the details there. And remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit when it comes to spread betting as well. Check out oddschecker for all of your fixed odds betting needs. And also WhoScored for all the stats to inform your selections over the course of the weekend. We'll be back again next week. But until then, enjoy the football and please do ensure that you gamble responsibly.